As Nigerians await the release of the 2023 general election timetable, the Independent National Electoral Commission (Inec) has vowed to beam its searchlight on politicians and political parties in a bid to track the sources of funds for their campaigns. To this end, the Commission has said it will set up teams to monitor election spending ahead of the elections. The Inec chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, who stated this at a policy roundtable conference on political campaign finance organized by the Electoral Forum in Abuja yesterday, also said the electoral umpire will also monitor the movement of money on election days to help tackle vote buying at polling units. Represented by Professor Ajayi Kunle, who is INEC's National Commissioner in charge of Party Monitoring Committee, Mahmood said, through the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), commercial banks will be mandated to report all suspicious transactions ahead of the election, while threatening to prosecute any bank that failed to cooperate. He said, as long as we have not notified anybody that the race to the 2023 general election has started, we are not unaware of what anybody is doing, we'll follow the law strictly. We have not officially declared notice for the 2023 general elections, but when we so declare, we'll put our monitoring committees to motion like the central banks, DSS, EFCC, ICPC, the commercial banks and other law enforcement agencies. We have that plan already. Every candidate must be made to declare his bank assets. That is where they draw out their money, so we'll make them to present their statement of account right from the onset. We'll make it mandatory for them to turn in their bank statements so that if they say they are doing billboard and the account remains the same, then there is a problem. On the issue of vote buying, the INEC chairman said, we are going to establish finance monitoring teams and it will be among the electorate, but the politicians and political parties won't know. We are going to do it in a way that the influence of money will be reduced because we want to make the electoral field a level playing ground for both the rich and poor candidates and electorates. Everybody will be on the equal level so that you won't influence the voting pattern. According to him, besides the Electoral Act, the Constitution empowers INEC to also make any other regulations that will assist its efficiency. The law, the Electoral Act, empowers INEC to make other regulations. Earlier, the national chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, Engineer Yagbagi Sani, called for a strict enforcement of the regulations on election funding so as to prevent the monetization of the electoral process and improve the level of trust between electorates and political party candidates. This is even as the immediate past chairman of INEC, Professor Atahiru Jega, identified the lack of accountability and transparency in political campaign financing as key factors responsible for some challenges facing Nigeria's electoral system. According to Jega, if we insist on accountability, then you can begin to somehow sanitize the way political parties raise funds. I think that what has happened is that we pay too much attention on the issue of electronic transmission of results, and somehow they quickly pass the sections about raising the threshold. The civil society did not pay much attention in their advocacy against this particular issue. Nevertheless, I won't advise or recommend the way we delay the passage of the bill on account of this particular issue. What we should be exploring are ways and means of ensuring that there is accountability about how these funds are raised and the spending ceiling is met, as well as how the expenditure is done. On his part, the IPAC chairman said the need to set up enforcement of the regulation on election funding was born out of the imperatives of sanity and integrity in elections, saying that a failure to do so could debase the voting process to the level of what he described as a commodity for the highest bidder. Sani, who was represented by IPAC's National Treasurer, Barrister Obidike Okolo, noted that the triple menace of transnational drug trafficking, money laundering, and terrorism has led to issues of corruption as well as the destabilization of democratic philosophy. He said, while the controversial Electoral Amendment Bill 2020, if eventually assented to by President Muhammadu Buhari, will usher in the upgrading of what a presidential candidate can spend at elections from 1 billion naira to 5 billion naira, representing a 400% increment amongst others. There was a need for its enforcement to ensure compliance with the provisions of the law on political campaign finance. This, he noted, would enable the country to avoid a situation where the country's democracy is undermined in the long term. Sani said, after the restoration of democracy, the Nigerian parliament enacted the first statute regulating election funding in 2005 and followed with an amendment to the Act in 2018. Yet another amendment with more comprehensive prohibition came about in the 2020 Electoral Amendment Bill, still in the works, as a result of disputes between the legislative and executive arms over certain clauses and provisions. 2023, the permutations and calculations have started. A lot of politicians have declared their interest to run, and we've seen how Nigerians have reacted to those that have declared their interest. Atiku Abubakar, Bola Tinubu, Dele Momodu, to mention a few. So the politicking has started, although Inec has not given the official timetable. They've only given the date. We know it's February 2023, but the timetable and everything that will follow, like when the campaigning activities will start, the date campaign will kick off. They are yet to release all of those details. And we know before now, Inec said that they will release the timetable as soon as the electoral amendment bill is signed, as soon as all of the controversy surrounding the amendment is settled. That is when they will release the timetable. But in the meantime, INEC is warning regarding the 2023 campaign that they are going to be tracking funding sources. They are going to monitor bank accounts of politicians and political parties. I mean, if it's a good one if they are able to keep to this, because they said they are going to be working with the banks and that the banks are going to report transaction details to them. But the thing is that what if the banks are bought as well? If the bank managers and those in charge, those in top officials in the bank, if they are bought, corruption it's everywhere in the country, and the shocking part is that is at the top where you least expect to see it. That is where corruption lies. Corruption lies even with President Muhammadu Buhari, although he's been talking about fighting corruption. That, as a matter of fact, that was what he campaigned with in 2015. But corruption still lives within his cabinet. Anyway, it's a good one, very commendable what INEC has just set out, what they are planning, and all of this is to ensure that the vote of the people counts, to stop vote buying and all of the malpractice that follows that comes with elections. Well, guys, leave us your own thoughts. Let's hear your take down below in the comment section. Thank you once again for staying tuned. Please don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe till I come your way again with more updates. Bye.